First and foremost, condolences. Isabella was only 2 years old and she was absolutely defenceless. As a parent, it's your job to protect your child from anything and anyone that can cause harm, even your own partner. Tragically, 2-year-old Isabella Jonas-Wheldon was failed by her mum, 24-year-old Chelsea Gleason Mitchell, in the worst possible way. To put it in plain and simple language, Chelsea cared more about her boyfriend than her own daughter. Now, because she allowed her own daughter to be caged by 24-year-old Scott Jeff, if that was not bad enough, after the lled was committed, the couple, who were from Ipswich, had walked around with Isabella despite her being dead, and even planned to run away to places like Scotland, Southend-on-Sea and Amsterdam, before the degenerates were arrested. High Court Judge Mr. Justice Neil Garnham was absolutely disgusted by the abhorrent crime. He called Chelsea Gleason Mitchell a weak and spineless person and pathetically desperate. The judge also categorised Scott Jeff's actions as monstrous and explained that 2-year-old Isabella would have felt utter fear in the boyfriend's presence. Now really, Chelsea could have stopped all of this from happening if she spoke up or if she just left the relationship, but she did not. According to reports, Scott and Chelsea had previously dated back in 2019, and during that time Chelsea's family and friends says that she had rebelled, choosing to spend her social time drinking in order to drown her inadequacies. Scott Jeff was already known as domineering, controlling, authoritative, and a man set on having things his own way. Ultimately, the couple did split. However, in May of 2023, Scott and Chelsea had got back in touch with each other, and they chose to rekindle their relationship, trying to make it work. Scott Jeff was then introduced to 2-year-old Isabella, and Scott took on the role of dad. Chelsea, who was a former nursery worker, should have seen the red flags. However, her self-worth was depleted and her motherly instincts had been chipped away gradually, day by day, hour after hour, minute by Scott, and she could not see this. Reports say that Chelsea cared more about comfort and pleasures like drink and dra, like white and weed, and made sure to keep her mouth shut in order to maintain her relationship with a man that grew increasingly frustrated that Isabella was struggling with potty training and kept wetting herself. In order to combat the fact that Isabella would wet herself, Scott would strike Isabella, jolt her back and forth with so much force that the markings on Isabella resembled a high-impact collision. She was struck, face, neck, arms, body, legs, ultimately everywhere. Scott was so cruel that the couple took Isabella to Great Yarmouth prior to June 19th. The couple spent the first few days in a hotel. They, including Isabella, then spent 4 nights in a tent on the beach at Castor, and then spent some time in a caravan, and then began to look for a temp accommodation. At this time, Isabella had already suffered severe injuries, which included fractured arms, that's plural to both arms, and shattered pelvis. Reports say that Scott Jeff had booted Isabella and also on her with enough force that it was likened to a boot from a horse. When members of the public commented on Isabella's injuries and her appearance, Chelsea and Scott declined help. Instead, what they did is they packed their bags and moved on. Chelsea also told concerned members of the public that she was fleeing DV situations. They then began to cover Isabella with large sunglasses and puffer coats and also hats. She was also placed in a pushchair under blankets. And then on June 26th, Isabella's condition deteriorated and the 2-year-old struggled to get a full breath of air. Tragically, she had died in a pushchair, and the people responsible, the people who carried her, was Chelsea Gleason Mitchell and Scott Jeff, and this was a little over 11 p.m. Later, the cause of death would be classed as skeletal trauma and marrow embolism. Now, in the aftermath, Isabella was left in a pushchair and left in a locked temp accommodation for hours, while the couple were caught on CCTV 30 minutes later, laughing and joking, the abhorrent couple had headed into Ipswich town centre, where they went window shopping, got burgers and fries and milkshakes and a McFlurry from McDonald's, and then spent the evening at the pub. The couple was also caught on CCTV boarding a train to the Corn Exchange pub in Bury St Edmunds. The couple was again captured on CCTV sharing a drink and acting as though everything was completely normal, unaffected by Isabella's death. And then, over the next 3 days, Chelsea and Scott continued to go out, this time opting to take Isabella's lifeless frame with them as they went on with their family daily lives. Isabella was still in her pram despite being dead. They even took Isabella on the bus to the town centre to go shopping and down a few drinks at the pub. The couple had put a blanket over Isabella under the guise of family day out. However, the couple was so cold and callous and treated Isabella's frame without care or respect, because CCTV also showed how the couple would place a load of shopping bags onto the 2-year-old. The M was only unravelled when Joanne Gardner, who was Chelsea's friend, had raised the alarm after being told by Chelsea in confidence that Isabella had been dead for 3 days. That's 72 hours. When questioned why on earth have you not gone to the police, Chelsea retorted that she had not contacted authorities because she was afraid that she would get done because of the marks to Isabella. So, in the early hours of the morning on July 1st, police made their way to Chelsea and Scott. The mum and stepdad were both placed in handcuffs, arrested and read their rights as to the neglect and also the M. Scott Jeff claimed he had not killed anyone. However, Scott had a temper, and the outlet for his temper was Isabella. Scott was evil personified. So true was the statement that a bone pathologist told the court that they had never seen such severe pelvic injuries in a 40-year career. At the time of Isabella's M, an autopsy also revealed that there was Class A and Class B in her system, which included white. Ipswich Crown Court heard that Scott Jeff would jab and hook Isabella, put the boot in, give her cold showers, all the while Chelsea would stand right next to him. She just stood by and watched the whole ordeal play out, and she did absolutely nothing. She did not attempt to stop it, she did not protect her child, she did not love her child, or do anything to keep her safe. When interviewed, Chelsea tried to play the victim and says that she had no money and no phone. She was reliant on Scott, who had isolated her from everyone that she knew and loved. Now, while it may be true that Chelsea was being controlled to a certain degree by Scott, it was also suggested that Chelsea, if she wanted to, she could have got in contact and gotten help and support from her family. After a 7-week trial at Ipswich Crown Court, 24-year-old scumbag Scott Jeff was jailed for life, and he was told that he would have to serve a minimum term sentence of 26 years. Hopefully, every single one of those days will be agonising. Now, as for Chelsea Gleason Mitchell, she was acquitted of the M, but she was found guilty of causing or allowing the death of a child. Chelsea shook her head with fear after being told that she would be serving a 10-year jail sentence for her part in the unforgivable crime. Again, in the aftermath of the M, both police found evidence that the couple had used the internet to find out and search how to flee a country without a passport. The couple were making plans to look at destinations like Scotland, Amsterdam, and even Southend-on-Sea. The question is, does the crime match the sentence? Let me know. And condolences. Stay safe. Safe.